Hello and welcome. I am Ramesh Ramachandran and this is India Calling, your weekly destination for all things India and G20. Now, over the next 30 minutes, I'll get you all the news about India's presidency of the G20 and a flavor, a slice of all the things that define India. All right then, let's get started. First up, a roundup of the events held last week. Now, Varanasi hosted a development ministers meeting. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the meeting virtually. He said empowering women was not an end in itself. It should spur women-led development.
Gender equality and women's empowerment are crucial to achieve the SDGs. In India, we are not limited to women's empowerment. Ours is a women-led development. Women are setting the agenda for development and are also the agents of growth and change. I urge you to adopt a game-changing action plan for women-led development.
He said the G20 must make a collective effort to ensure that the world does not fall behind in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Development is a core issue for the global South. The countries of global South were severely impacted by the disruption created by the global COVID pandemic. In such circumstances, the decisions you make carry great significance for humanity as a whole. I strongly believe that it is our collective responsibility not to let the Sustainable Development Goals fall behind. We must ensure that no one is left behind.
The Indian Prime Minister said democratization of technology played an important role in bridging data divide.
Our efforts must be comprehensive, inclusive, fair, and sustainable. We should increase investment in fulfilling the SDGs and find solutions to address the debt risk faced by many countries. Multilateral financial institutions should be reformed to expand the eligibility criteria, ensuring that finance is accessible to those in need.
Prime Minister Modi also said that countries of the world should increase investments in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and find solutions for addressing the debt issue faced by some countries. Right, moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar said the G20 Development Ministers meeting discussed about human-centric development, women-led development and sustainable development goals.
The action plan put a very sharp focus on women-led development for achieving SDG goals. There was a commitment, how do we leverage data for development, because this is a digital era and there are many digital tools which can be used to advance development, human-centric economic growth. and the sustainable finance for development, including through the reform of international financial institutions.
Now, G20 meetings are an excellent platform to promote India's culture and tourism on the global stage. An exhibition of Indian handicraft was organized on the sidelines of the Development Ministers meeting in Varanasi. Minister Jaishankar hosted the delegates for a sightseeing trip to Sarnath. They were given a traditional welcome. Now, Sarnath is located a few kilometers away from Varanasi. It's the place where Lord Buddha gave his first sermon after attaining enlightenment at Bodh Gaya. Delegates visited the Sarnath Stupa. A stupa is a dome-shaped structure erected as a Buddhist shrine. The Sarnath Stupa marks the exact location where the Buddha preached his first discourse to his first 5 disciples. Minister Jaishankar joined the other delegates for a visit to the Sarnath Museum as well. It exhibits the Buddhist cultural wealth recovered from the site of Lord Buddha's first sermon. Sarnath is one of the 4 most important Buddhist pilgrimage centers. Buddha told his disciples to visit 4 places: Lumbini, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath and Kushinagar. Lumbini in modern-day Nepal is connected with his birth. Bodh Gaya, Sarnath and Kushinagar are located in India. Bodh Gaya is the place where the Buddha attained enlightenment. Sarnath, as I told you before, is where he delivered his first sermon, and Kushinagar is where he breathed his last. Delegates viewed the Ashoka emblem and Ashokan pillar. It's the national emblem of India. The capital is 2.31 meters in height. So that was all about the Development Ministers meeting held in Varanasi. Let me now bring you up to speed on a G20 digital economy meeting that was held in Pune. Indian Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, inaugurated a global DPI summit on the margins of the G20 meeting in Pune. Now, DPI stands for Digital Public Infrastructure. The minister said the global digital economy has grown because of advancements in technology, increased internet penetration, and proliferation of smartphones and other connected devices. He said India placed the digital citizen at the heart of its digital push. Take a listen to my colleague Shama Mishra's conversation with Minister Chandrasekhar.
It's day 1 of the Digital Economy Working Group meeting under the India's G20 presidency, and we are here at Pune, and Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the MOS, he's with us. Sir, you laid out a lot of important points that is related to DPI and India's DPI. When we're talking about decade, you mentioned about technology decade. The next one is the technology decade. Explain something about that and how strong will India emerge now?
Look, our Honorable Prime Minister in 2021 coined this phrase, and he coined this because he sees the future as a future that increasingly will revolve around technology opportunities and technology capabilities. He coined the phrase India Decade. When I go travel abroad on his behalf and on the government's behalf, I talk about this decade as a decade of technology opportunities. And what the other thing the Honorable Prime Minister said when he talks about the decade is that that decade will be built by the energy, the determination, the innovation and the creativity of young Indians. And so therefore this decade discussion is really, in the context of today's global DPI summit, is an extremely relevant conversation for every country that has a youthful population, every country that is aspiring to be digitalizing its economy, to also be aware of. So today I mentioned that don't think of DPI as only something that governments do, but think of DPI as really a force multiplier and a catalyst of the economy, of governance, and indeed aspirations for your youth.
So we are talking about transforming lives, and we're talking also about touching the grassroots, the Antyodaya. You mentioned an important point about fixing the leakages through DPI. Explain about that, and also about the MOUs that were signed and how will it help?
Look, the most compelling argument for DPI is India as a case study, that pre-2014 India was a country which the world knew and Indians knew, and a former Indian Prime Minister described as a country where 100 rupees left Delhi and only 15 rupees reached the beneficiary's account or for the beneficiary's benefit. 85 rupees always mysteriously disappeared as part of the cost of doing business with the government. That has been 180 degrees transformed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's vision. He said that I will deploy technology to transform this narrative of India, transform people's lives, improve their lives, and build increased trust between government and the citizen of India. That example is now visible to countries all around the world, that through an open source platform, through technology, DBT, JDY, UPI, that type of innovation, we are able to create meaningful, deep changes in the way a government functions and in the way a citizen and a government interact and have trust with each other. So that example is there for everybody to see, and therefore countries want to also implement the same.
Lastly, sir, how do you see G20, DEWG changing or coming to a constructive decision to change lives all over the world?
No, India under its presidency certainly has introduced the DPI in the conversations in the G20 and the power of the DPI. We have also floated the One Future Alliance as an alliance that can, beyond the G20, have a partnership of countries all around the world that can take the current framework of DPIs, innovate on it, create better and more lasting and more sustainable solutions for the benefit of their own people and for the world at large. So I think the One Future Alliance is one very, very important, permanent aspect of the digitalization of the world and the growth of the digital economy in general.
All right, thank you very much for talking to us, sir. So that was the MOS talking all about what would be discussed and what is aimed to achieve. With camera person Rohan Gowli, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Pune.
And my colleague Shama also spoke to Gevor Mantasyan, first Deputy Minister of High-Tech Industry of Armenia, on the margins of the meeting in Pune. Armenia signed a memorandum of understanding on the India Stack. Now, India Stack is a set of application programming interfaces that allow governments, businesses and developers alike to use a unique digital infrastructure to improve governance and delivery. Take a listen.
The Global DPI Summit has just begun in Pune, and three critical MOUs have been signed, and one of them is with Armenia and India. Hi, welcome to DD India. First of all, what was the MOU all about, and how do you think this will be beneficial for your people back home?
Thank you very much for the question, having us here. I would also say namaste. I am the Gevor Mantasyan, first Deputy Minister of the High-Tech Industry from Armenia. And the MOU is more the symbol of our integration and wish to team up and put a shared efforts on creating a technology which can be mutually beneficial for member of our society and our citizens. And here it was generously the invitation of India during the G20 presidency to come and have the MOU, which we with a great pleasure accepted, because we believe on the potential and the wish that we are sharing shared values on regulatory direction as well, which we can do a lot doing it together. And we think that our efforts on creating the safer environment for the better regulated technology will create a better world for everyone.
You also visited the exhibition that was on display. What all did you get to notice, and how impressed are you?
Yesterday, and even today, when we have a very short tour around, it was very interesting to see the diversity of the solutions for the members of the society. And the foundational solution there on digital platforms is identification. And we see that there is a state-owned company which is issuing and creating the ID for the new generation ID for the members of society. Plus, there was one example of the telemedicine. Telemedicine giving the access to the quality of the public services. It's a healthcare, and it is directly impacting the people in the society. We see how the technology is helping people to go out of the poverty, how to improve the health, and impacting the long and happy living as well.
You mentioned about the telemedicine. Of late, we have also put up it as a public digital good for the world to take cognizance of it, and if they want to implement it in their own country, they can. So e-Sanjeevani during the COVID times was very beneficial to India. Do you think some of the technologies could be taken back at home?
Oh, definitely. We already have it's very draft. I don't want to go public at this moment to whom we discuss it and what we discuss it. But I think one of the important directions that could work, it's linking the telemedicine and the prescription which was written there, and mutually recognizing the prescription, because during the different travelings, and you mentioned the COVID pandemic, where it was, I think, an excellent example when the country's team opted to mutually recognize using the QR code to recognize the certificates which was issued in another country. So this trust, it proved that it is possible to have. So if the COVID taught us that this can happen, why not to go on the next steps and recognize the prescription or the medical records when our members of society and citizens will travel, to be acceptable and have the access and public infrastructure in other countries as well.
Lastly, how do you see India's presidency?
You mean on G20, I guess. I can say that the fact that we are invited and we are here, we are all very excited, and think that the approach of the Indian G20 at this moment, what I can comment, that is giving the access us and bringing the part of the dialogue, which I think it's an excellent model to overcome the challenges that our world is facing now.
All right, thank you very much for joining and talking to us.
Thank you very much.
So yes, definitely, as we all talk about, the G20 is a platform for sharing best practices, and here also during the DEWG there will be a lot of exchanges of ideas and various interactions that will help and lead for the global good. With camera person Shekhar Gaur, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Pune, Maharashtra.
Rishma Nimi Kuldeep Singh, a minister from Suriname, signed an MOU with India on the margins of the meeting in Pune. The visiting minister was impressed by the option of making payments using the Aadhaar card. Now, Aadhaar is a 12-digit unique identity number that can be obtained voluntarily in India. It contains one's biometric data.
It's very important. Let me first say it's an honor for us to be here as a representative of Suriname, as the Minister of Economic Affairs, and it's an honor to be here and to sign the MOU, because what my interest is the Aadhaar card. Everyone in India has the possibility to pay with the Aadhaar card and have the information. So it's very important for us as Suriname. We are a country with 600,000 people, and it's very important for us and also for the SMEs back in the country that they have the possibility to have the financing and to can do their business with a card that can be from the government side.
Alright, let me turn to Goa now. Goa hosted a Supreme Audit Institution Engagement Group meeting. Responsible application of artificial intelligence and blue economy were discussed at the meeting. Let me now tell you a bit about how foreign media is covering India and the G20. My colleague Antara Sinha unpacks it for you. Take a look.
India has been on an upward trajectory for a while now in terms of development, economic growth, and with it being the G20 president, it is poised to fuel new energy into the growth process of not just the global south but the world. Hello and welcome to this edition of foreign media coverage of India's G20 presidency. The first article we have today is from Arab News, titled as India Eyes Promising Startup Exchanges After Talks with Saudi G20 Rep. This particular article highlights details about an engagement group of the G20, the Startup 20, and Saudi Arabia's role to bring promising changes to the startup ecosystem. It quotes Startup 20 Chair Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, who said that the India-Middle East exchange, especially between their startup ecosystems, holds much promise. India has the world's third largest startup ecosystem with close to 100,000 startups and 115 unicorns. This year in January, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said it is India's duty to become the voice of the global south or the developing world, which is facing several challenges at present and is looking at New Delhi with high hopes. With this, we move on to our next article from Times of Oman, titled as UNCTAD Secretary General India's External Affairs Minister agree that G20 has a key role in voicing Global South's concerns. It mentions EAMS Jaishankar's meeting with UNCTAD Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan and other global leaders on the sidelines of the G20 Development Ministers meeting in Varanasi. It highlights a tweet posted by Dr. S. Jaishankar saying that Secretary General of UNCTAD Greenspan agreed that G20 plays an important role in alleviating concerns of the Global South. Ever since India took on the G20 presidency, its role in chiseling and shaping the world under its presidency has been analyzed. The next article we have today is from the Geopolitics. It's an analytical opinion piece titled Decoding India's G20 Presidency. It reiterates India's G20 theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world is one family. It majorly focuses on the key agenda of India's G20 presidency, saying India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi has prioritized the agenda for the 18 G20 summit, which includes not only inclusive, equitable and sustainable development but also health-related issues, agriculture, education, women's empowerment, cybersecurity and digital infrastructure, culture and tourism, technology-enabled development, climate financing, global food security related issues, green energy security, disaster risk reduction and resilience, development cooperation and the fight against terrorism. Well, India has become a beacon of hope for the future of the global south as well as the country which is leading the world. That is all in this edition. Over to you.
All right, time now for our next segment, India in Numbers. India is the largest producer of milk in the entire world. Let me pull up some numbers for you. It's from June 2023, so it's as recent as can be. So just to reiterate, India is the largest producer of milk in the world. It contributes 24% of global milk production. Now, milk production in India has grown by 61% from 137.7 million tons in 2013 and 2014 to 221.1 million tons in 2021 and 2022. The per capita availability of milk grows from 303 grams per day in 2013 and 2014 to 444 grams per day in 2021 and 2022, a nearly 1.5 time increase. And the dairy sector employs more than 80 million people in India. The majority are small and marginal farmers besides the landless. Desmo, I want you to take a look at the growth of India's pharmaceutical industry in the last 9 years. Now, India ranks third in the world in production of drugs and pharmaceuticals by volume. Now, India exports to 200 countries. The US, Belgium, South Africa, the UK and Brazil are the top 5 destinations for drugs made in India. India accounts for 60% of global vaccine production. That makes it the largest vaccine producer in the world. India has supplied nearly 300 million COVID-19 vaccines to 100 countries under its Vaccine Maitri program. Now, Maitri is Hindi for friendship. Now, exports of Indian drugs and pharmaceuticals grew by 125% from $11 billion in 2013 and 2014 to $25 billion in 2022 and 2023. And last but not the least, exports of drugs and pharmaceuticals account for 5.71% of total exports from India. And finally, it's time for the next week segment. There are 7 events lined up for next week. Take a look on your screens. The 4th Tourism Working Group meeting would be held in Goa on 19th and 20th June. Mamallapuram would host the 3rd Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting from 19th to 21st June. The 4th Education Working Group meeting would be hosted by Pune on 20th and 21st June. The Tourism Ministers meeting would be held in Goa on 21st and 22nd June. The Education Ministers meeting would be held in Pune on 22nd June. The 3rd Joint Health Finance Task Force meeting would be held virtually on 22nd June. And the 3rd meeting for the Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion would be held outside India in Bali, Indonesia from 24th to 26th of June. And with that, it's a wrap. The news continues here on DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. I'll see you same time next week with another edition of India Calling. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.